Guys, it's official. I have officially now made my first 500k since the time of actually starting my online business. Now it's multiple businesses, if you will. And I actually want to break down the books that have actually got me to this particular stage, because as you guys know, there's a lot of different stuff out there on books, what you should be reading, that sort of stuff. And we all know it's super important to be reading at this particular point. I'm pretty sure you've heard all the cliche sayings that like the average millionaire reads 50 to 70 books per year. And honestly, guys, we should obviously definitely know that reading is very, very important, very imminent and crucial to your particular success, if you will. So 100%, I'm actually going to break down for you just some of the books I really recommend reading. You're probably going to heard some of these. There's definitely some low-key ones in here. I'll try to get through the cliche ones you guys have probably heard about. I won't make this video too long and go into in-depth stuff on like what I've actually, I'll do a little bit of a synopsis, if you will, on each book if I have time. But I want to go through kind of like the core lessons I've read, I kind of like took away from those particular books, guys. Now, again, just to throw some proof up on the screen, I've actually, surpassed 500k in British pounds, which is my first $500,000 at 26. I'll throw a screenshot up on the screen somewhere here. But if you haven't been following me on Instagram, make sure you do. And if you're new around here, drop a like, comment, subscribe as well. It really does help me with the algorithm, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, guys, so the first book, obviously, I feel like this is the most cliche book, is Rich Dad Poor Dad. I feel like everybody starts off here. This was actually the first book I ever read, and this was way back when I was like 22, 23, I believe it was. And honestly, Rich Dad Poor Dad just basically showed me that there's an overall just different route to just going down the same 9-to-5 system. In fact, it actually kind of made me realize that the 9-to-5 system and going to school, working for a degree, and then working a job and then working up that way is kind of a scam if you think about it. It genuinely is the biggest scam told to humans on planet Earth, to be honest with you guys. If I was to have listened to my parents, gone to school, got a degree, I'd be working a job right now, making maybe, I don't know, 30, 40k a year, something like that, maybe even less, 25 to like 40k a year, maybe 50 at tops. I doubt that. I don't even think any of my friends that was on my actual course, my business course, or any friends I know of in general that are working 9-to-5 jobs are even making 50k per year. So it's actually really crazy because we just actually had a 76k month. Like literally, if you go back on my channel, you'll actually see that we actually hit a 76k month. That's British pounds, by the way. In USD, that literally means we actually hit a 86k month in a single month. So I'm making more than what these people are making in literally 1 month in an entire year, which is obviously crazy. Rich Dad Poor Dad is the book that got me here, guys. It is the book that set off my actual entrepreneurial journey. It gave me that spark. So I just want to shout out to Robert Kiyosaki just real quick, the author of the book, because honestly, that book just genuinely showed me that there's literally a different path to go down than just the traditional route that we all know about. Again, if you haven't read that book, I know probably most of you guys have read that book. If you haven't, I don't know what you're doing. Stop the video, go get it right now. And by the way, I read all my books on Kindle. I've got the Kindle app on my actual iPad. I think it's my iPad mini 6, so I actually take all my notes and stuff like that within the actual Kindle. If you can afford a Kindle, I do recommend getting a Kindle, like an iPad or something like that, because all of my notes that I write in the actual book are actually just, you can actually scroll through the notes and stuff like that and go and actually search up your notes. It's so much better than reading traditional books. I don't think I'll ever buy traditional books ever again. But yeah, that's how I kind of read all my books. And I've been reading now, guys, for literally years on end, like 4 or 5 years straight or something like that now, guys. It's one of the best habits I ever picked up. Highly recommend it. Now, second book is Millionaire Fastlane. Millionaire Fastlane as well is it's almost like it's like a slightly updated Rich Dad Poor Dad kind of like book as well, because it actually shows you that there's a different route. It shows you that 9-to-5 scam is an actual scam. It's called the 40-40-40 scam. We're working 40 hours a week to for 40 years of your life to retire on 40% of what you actually make, which is obviously a huge scam. Now, the next book I really want to get into is my actual favorite sales book of all time, guys. This, I absolutely just recommend this one through in, throughout. There is no better sales book than this, in my opinion. This is number one. I actually recommend this to all of my like one-to-one consulting clients or students, or whatever you want to call them. I also recommend it to everybody in my program, Agency Transmutation, which is still open for enrollment. But this book is actually what made me a sales beast, and that is Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. You guys absolutely need to pick this book up. It basically taught me how to be respected as a salesperson, as in like, like when you jump on a call and the other person doesn't really respect you and they've got like this, what you call a power frame. Power frame is where the person, your prospect that you're speaking to, feels like, well, they make themselves kind of feel like they're more powerful and they're above you, if you will, and you feel small and kind of like timid on the call. and like unimportant, if you will, and they're high and mighty and powerful. Well, it showed me how to burst power frames, time frames, all that sort of stuff, guys. So you guys need, and by the way, obviously this will make more sense if you go and read the book, but you actually absolutely number one, I have to read this book. It's the number one sales book. In my own personal opinion, it's actually my favorite ever sales book. I actually the book is so good, I vowed to read this book once a year, just like Rich Dad Poor Dad, by the way. Rich Dad Poor Dad, my favorite book. This is, that's my favorite overall book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. This is my favorite sales book of all time, by the way, which is Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. You absolutely need to read this book, and I vowed to reread this book once a year. Now, Money by Rob Moore, which is funny because I actually only just finished this book about 4 or 5 months ago, something like that, at this particular point, this year, put it that way. And Money by Rob Moore, so it's, his name's literally just Rob Moore. It's actually funny because I think this is the first ever book I've read, and it actually mentions the city that I'm from, which is Sheffield or Yorkshire. He mentions Sheffield and Yorkshire, so that basically is a dude that actually has grown up from where I am, like literally in Yorkshire. That's kind of like where I've been born and raised. Sheffield is in Yorkshire, if you will, over here in the UK. Don't come to Sheffield, by the way, guys. It's absolutely terrible. Such a crappy city. I need to definitely move to Dubai or something like that. But long story short, guys, it showed me how money actually works. It's weird because like even now that I've surpassed like making 500k, my first $500,000 at 26 years old, which sounds crazy even saying that, I'm still learning every single day from these books, guys. You will never ever see me not reading books. Never ever. It will just never happen. And I know that you guys have heard the cliche saying that like the average millionaire spends like he reads 50 to 70 books per year and spends around 5.5 hours per week reading books. Why do you think that is, guys? I've noticed, right, that if you ask 10 different millionaires how they did it, you might get 10 different answers as to how they've done it. But if you ask them if they read, I bet you like 90% of them, I bet you any money they spend a obscene amount of time reading books, or they had in the past, or they got, or they pick up their knowledge from somewhere. It's either a mentor, podcast, or books. I bet you any money you can't find me a millionaire, a self-made millionaire, that is, by the way, that's key point, self-made millionaire. I bet you any money you can't find me a self-made millionaire that's not read a book, doesn't have a mentor, or doesn't listen to like podcasts or YouTube videos. It just doesn't happen, guys. If it does, they probably won the lottery. That's not self-made though, is it? So Money by Rob Moore taught me how money actually works. And this book is for those people, honestly, if you've got a bad relationship with money, like there's certain negativities that comes to mind when the average person mentions money or starts talking about money. Normally they see it as like a taboo topic, or if you've got a lot of money, you've had to do something nefarious to get it, or it's your daddy's money, and if you're driving like a Lamborghini, it's not yours, it's rented. That's sort of the negative mindsets that I used to have back in the day when it came to money. Seeing people make lots of money online, I was like, yeah, it's got to be a scam. In fact, the funny thing is, I actually started this actual YouTube channel that you're watching right here just to see if I could genuinely become a millionaire, if you will, and literally listen to these people online, or are they all just scams? I literally just wanted to guinea pig my life and see if, making money was an actual thing, or was it just another scam? Turns out, I made 500k, so it seems to be working very, very well, to be honest with you guys. And the average millionaire over here in the UK is like 55 to 57 years old. So I'm only 26, like half that age. So things are going very, very, very well. Now, Money by Rob Moore, like I said, is a book that will get rid of all those negative connotations and misconceptions about money, guys. Like if you think that to be religious or spiritual or just a good person or a just person or a moral person, you can't have a lot of money, then you need to read this book. But if you think that having a lot of money means you're greedy, you're scamming people, you're doing something nefarious, or the old rich people are horrible, just nasty people, you definitely need to read this book for sure. No doubt about it. It's my favorite book on the topic of just money and how money works in general. Another book that I really need you guys to read is The Richest Man in Babylon. This, honestly, guys, this is probably my second favorite book behind Rich Dad Poor Dad. So there's Rich Dad Poor Dad, Millionaire Fastlane. They're kind of like the same book in my opinion, but like Millionaire Fastlane is like a updated version of it. Then there's The Richest Man in Babylon. Oh my days, guys, this honestly genuinely changed my life because it just showed me that I remember one quote in the book that it says something on the line, I'm gonna butcher it, but all that you make, 10% of all that you make is yours to keep. So it just made me kind of like realize that you can actually become rich and work your way up. It's about a story of a guy, and he kind of like, it's been a long time since I read this book, by the way, guys. I probably should have reviewed these books and then taught you guys about it. But long story short, I can actually remember that it was a story about a dude and he works his way up to be the richest man in Babylon. And he does it quite simply, he just follows a simple formula, and it's so true. You can take those same concepts now and actually apply it to your business now or just life in general. Another absolutely amazing book, and this actually directly changed the entire course of my agency. So I actually have this book near and dear to my heart, and that is The E-Myth. I mention this book all the time on this channel. You guys probably knew it was coming if you've watched any of my other videos on certain books and just me in general. The E-Myth, the entrepreneur myth, I believe it actually stands for. And this showed me, right, that you don't actually have to be the head chef, should I say, in your own restaurant. AKA, if you're a restaurant owner, you don't actually have to be the head chef to have a successful restaurant. You don't have to be a good chef to have a successful restaurant. And it's the same with any business. You do not need to know how to code to have a software business. You can actually go and hire software engineers. It's the same with an agency. You yourself don't need to know how to run Facebook ads to have a successful agency. You need to build a team, if you will. In fact, it actually is beneficial in multiple ways than you can even imagine to actually have an expert in your team, actually on your agency team, if you will, and hire out that particular process. You don't want to be the head chef in your own restaurant because you're going to get what you call golden handcuffs. Golden handcuffs is like, for example, if you're running an agency right now and you closed, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 clients, for example, in the next 2 days, obviously that's great. But if it's you doing all the service delivery, you're just going to be completely swamped with work. So your finances have gone up, but your freedom and probably your happiness and location freedom is gone down, if you will. Your time's gone down, your location freedom's gone down. Everything's gone down except for your finances. So is it really a win? Not really. What you should have done is actually got an actual team member in place. And the funny thing is, I think it says in the book, I believe I took this from this book, but the litmus test to see if you've actually got a business and not just a 9-to-5 job is if you can go on holiday and your business actually grows without you, without your input. If you can do that, you've got a proper business. If you can't do that, you don't really have a business. You have like a 9-to-5 job disguised as a business, or a really high paying 9-to-5 job if you're doing very, very well, but it's still a job because it's you doing all the work for your clients, if you will. And you can't take holidays and just, shoot and get off to a different country, if you will. So another book that's really, really good for learning sales is Spin Selling, SPIN Selling. You will see if you're inside of Agency Transmutation or inside of any of my programs, or just follow any of my free tutorials on kind of like how to start an agency and just anything sales that I've mentioned on this video, you'll see that my actual sales process to this day, every single, to this very day, is based upon spin selling. So this is my actual second favorite book. Honestly, just reading Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff and then Spin Selling, you will see that I've literally taken most of my concepts from those books, my actual strategy, the bridge method, if you will. And honestly, guys, now I've literally taken over 1,300, I think it's probably 1,400 at this particular point, but I'm not gonna hype up the numbers. It's definitely more than 1,300 sales calls by myself, by the way. I don't hire out my sales calls or anything like that. So I'm still using this particular method here, and it's working like a charm. Evidently, I've hit 500k now, and take my sales calls by myself. There's no sales team. It's just me. I've never actually outsourced sales ever. I probably might do in the future, but for now I love sales so much. And the funny thing is, me saying that is kind of crazy because 4 years ago, if you guys are inside Age Transmutation, you'll know I literally said that my number one weakness as an entrepreneur was sales. Like everything I wanted in life was over here, and I was stuck over here, and this thing in the middle that was blocking me, if you will, was my fear of sales. So now that I'm being able to read these books and overcome my sales fear, honestly, Spin Selling, Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff, I actually hugely, highly recommend those books. Now, the next book is The Alchemist. I won't go into too much about The Alchemist because I can't actually remember that much about it. I'll probably need to reread the Alchemist, but I can actually remember it being super, super good. I can't remember. It's funny because like a lot of these books, I've read so many books and a lot of the concepts kind of mash into one. But just trust me on this one. Pick up The Alchemist. I'll try to break it down in another video if you guys want me to. If you drop a comment, I'll probably have to or just go watch a synopsis on The Alchemist. Like I said, I haven't got time for breaking down each one of these. Think and Grow Rich. Obviously, this one right here, guys, is one of the top 10 books, top 5 books in my opinion, that you can actually read as an entrepreneur. It's cliche now, and everybody probably mentions this book along with Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Poor Dad, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those are the cliche books, if you will. But long story short, Think and Grow Rich honestly changed my entire life because it's a book about kind of like using your brain to get what you want, if you will. Because if you think about it, it's so friggin' true. Like this camera I'm recording this video on, somebody thought of this as an idea first and then took that thought and made it into an actual thing. Think about I believe it's called the Burj Khalifa, or I think it's called the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, is what I'm trying to get at. Somebody sat down one day and thought of that as an idea in their brain, and now it's actually a real thing. So your thoughts become things, and this is what this book's all about: using your thoughts using your thoughts to actually, get what you desire, that sort of stuff. And honestly, guys, I believe it's about also how I think it was Napoleon Hill, and he went around and kind of like asked a whole bunch of people like how they became millionaires. So you learn a lot of lessons in that particular book. So you need to pick that book up. Now, Outwitting the Devil as well is a very good book. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys didn't know about. I've never really heard anybody mention this particular book. It's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, I believe it is. And this book is honestly, it's like on the opposite side. It's like a negative. It's almost like a negative book. If you was going to listen to all your negative thoughts, where would it actually take you? So it's all about defeating your self-doubt and overcoming the devil within you. I know that the title sounds crazy, by the way, guys, and it sounds like some satanic, I don't know, crazy shit. Even I was thinking that, like, what am I actually listening to? Because I actually listened to it on YouTube. It's on YouTube for free, by the way. Outwitting the Devil, absolutely. It's just an amazing concept. It shows you that, like, it's almost like the video that I did not too long ago on my YouTube channel, where I said how not to scale your agency to 10K. And I told you what not to do so that you could do the opposite of what I was telling you to do in the video. So for example, only do 10 outreach per day. Yeah, because that's definitely gonna get you to 10K a month. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. But long story short, guys, that's definitely a really good book. And obviously, I just mentioned this book as well, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I honestly and genuinely think the world would be a better place if this book was made to be a mandatory book reading in school. We actually should have How to Win Friends and Influence People part of our school curriculum growing up. It just honestly just makes you, I feel like this book just makes you an honestly just better person overall in general. So that's How to Win Friends and Influence People. I won't say too much about that. You can go read the synopsis and whatnot, or you can just go check these books. But again, this is just my list. There's no order to this. I just wanted to break down some books. Now, couple other books that I need to mention for you guys so you can actually take this away and actually implement them would be obviously Russell Brunson's book. So ClickFunnels, the actual CEO and founder of ClickFunnels, you need to read all of his books. Like there's no question about it, no doubt about it. You need to read expertsecrets.com secrets. I forgot what the other one, traffic secrets or whatever it's called. Then there's copywriting secrets as well. There's like four of them, probably even more of them that I probably even missed. But you need to read those books for sure. There's no doubt about it. If you want to learn how to generate traffic, build funnels, funnel people down your funnels, how to write copy, how to write sales pages, do VSLs, webinars, that sort of stuff, you need to read those books. Another very good book that I need to mention as well about the same kind of like similar thing would be Sell Like Crazy by Sabri Subi, I believe his name is. Yeah, Sabri Subi. I always mispronounce that. If he's watching this, shout out to you. I doubt he will be, but honestly, that book changed my life as well when I was building my agency case study funnel. Like, if you want to build case study funnels, VSLs, get people down, warm them up with emails, some like advanced stuff that you guys definitely need to know about as an agency owner, or just as a business owner in general. If you're an online coach, you definitely need this book for sure. So definitely go and pick up those books. And then the last book I highly recommend you guys get, guys, I believe it's actually called Never Split the Difference. I'm not too sure who this one is by, but it's all about negotiating and negotiation. It actually comes from an I think it was actually an ex-suicide or ex-bomb person. Like the people that kind of like talk people down from buildings, like when they're just about to jump and commit suicide. That's so freaking sad. I believe he was one of those. No, he was actually a bomb squad negotiator, I believe he was. Like when somebody goes to rob a bank and they're holding up the bank, and there's like that person in the movies that go and speak to the person that's holding up like the people that holding people hostage. I think it was a hostage negotiator. I think that's what the actual term is. So you definitely got to watch that. Obviously he knows some stuff. He actually had to negotiate like people's lives depending on it. I believe that's actually what the subtitle of the book is called. So those guys are some of my actual favorite books. Of course, there are so many books out there. I couldn't mention all of them, and I couldn't give a synopsis on all of them. This is already a friggin' like 18 to 20 minute long video. I could easily spend about 30 minutes just talking about Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that's just one of the books on the list, especially Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. I can easily just talk about that book for like 20, 30, 40 minutes, but I know that you guys would rather just get the knowledge, be out, so you can actually go and read the knowledge and actually implement it. Oh, by the way, another great book obviously is Wolf of Wall Street. Last but not least would be 10X by Grant Cardone. Like that book is so hypey that you can't just read that book and not get hype. It just makes you hype yourself up, and that's honestly a good thing. It makes you just want to just 10x your business, to be honest with you. That's literally what the book is all about. It's very, very hypey. It's very, very kind of like very guru, if you will. But honestly, I feel like sometimes you need that in your life. You just need that extra little oomph of motivation, because you sometimes might undershoot your own goals and you don't even know your own potential. So I feel like that's a good book to actually help you kind of like realize your own potential. So yeah, those honestly guys are my favorite books that come to mind. There's probably a lot more. I'll probably make an updated version of this, so I guess this would be like part 1 if you want to call it that. If you guys want part 2, just let me know in the comments below, because honestly my list of books that I've read is huge. I've read hundreds of books, hundreds. I used to read a book a week for like 3-4 years straight. I've only recently just stopped because we're getting so frigging busy that it's kind of hard to keep up with the entire kind of like morning routine, to be honest with you guys. I definitely need to get back into that. But anyway guys, hope you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to drop a like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget guys, Age Traumatation is still open for enrollment. It will be, you know, $997. The link is below, so if you want to enroll in that, click that. And if you do want my one-to-one help instead of, you know, buying a program, if you will, then you can actually work with me one-on-one. That's for serious candidates only. The link will be below. I'll make it abundantly clear which one you should click. It's in the description. Anyway guys, drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.